This week on 3D Archery, we're going to talk about how to film your shoot or hunt. Hey everybody, and welcome to 3D Archery. You know, YouTube and the proliferation of video equipment, from your cell phones to everything else, has made filming what you're doing much easier. And when I was a kid, you had to have a Super 8 camera, film it, use up the whole reel, take it to the photomat, one of those little kiosks in the middle of a parking lot, turn it in, and maybe 2 weeks later go pick it up, and then you had to put it in your projector and watch it. So we didn't film a whole lot of stuff, and those that did made it very special. But with all this new technologies out and all this filming, you know, everybody's doing a lot of filming, which is great, but we're all making a lot of mistakes. Now, I am just as guilty as anybody else. Now, I used to do photography back in the 80s, so I got a basic background of it. And, you know, it's also learning trial and error, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to show you all the different things that you need to take in consideration to get the most out of your video shoot. Alright, so the biggest thing you need to know is cameras, right? They play the most important role. And there's basically just four types that you can use. There's an SLR, or different names for them. I always call it SLR. It means single lens reflex. It's just a dedicated camera. You get your video cams, camcorders they used to be called. You get your action cameras, and finally you get your cell phone, right? We're going to look at each one individually. So let's start off with a dedicated camera. This is the one I first started out with, and I tell you, it's a great camera. It's a Canon PowerShot. It's like when I bought it, it was like $150, $180, something like that. And only does pictures or videos. Highest def was 740 DPI, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So if you decide to use a DLR or a dedicated camera, you know, let's talk about positives and negatives of each. The pros is these things are powerful. And by that I mean you can control every aspect. The exposure, the frame rate, the contrast, so many things that you can control with these. Much more than with any other platform. They take pictures and video. You know, and a lot of the newer cameras has the 1080 video quality, so you can get great video quality and pictures from one of these. Now, with an SLR, depending on the type, you have accessories galore. You know, you can put the telephoto lens, the wide angle lens, all this. You got filters, you got microphones, you got flashes. I mean, tons of accessories, which also means something else, which we'll talk about in a second, right? Now, one of the big things is they have view screens. Now, a lot of them you can actually pop it out and rotate it around, which is a very important aspect. Because you're trying to set up your shot, and if it's like this one, only in the back, I got to walk behind the camera and have somebody stand in front or keep going back and forth. With the ones that you can rotate around, I can stand there and set it up with just me so I can see what the shot's going to look like before I film it. And finally, the other big thing on these is the ability to zoom, right? We're going to talk about zoom in a second or two. But zooming is important, and there's two types of zoom that you need to know about. There's optical, and then there's digital. And that is something you need to know, which we're going to cover once we go through all these. Alright, so what's the cons of these? Well, the biggest con of these is these babies can get expensive, right? And they're not the most sturdy things. They're pretty sturdy, but they're not as sturdy as a handy cam or a sport cam, right? Takes a lot more skill to use them properly. With all the ability to adjust everything, you need to know how to work the piece of equipment. Unless you put on program mode, but even then if you get out of it, it can just be a hassle. Something like this, don't have screens that can move. That's a definite negative. They are definitely memory hogs. These things eat up a lot of memory. And the other big downside on these is batteries. Now, this camera uses AA's. And I'll tell you, on one of my regular hunts, I would use between 4 and 6 batteries not hunts, sorry, one of my 3D shoots. 4 to 6 batteries using this alone. And that's why I moved away from this one to my next camera. Alright, our next camera is the dedicated video camera. Handycam, camcorders, what they used to be called, whatever you want to call them. This is what I use. It's a Sony Handycam. I have 2 of them. This is the original one. Durable beyond belief. This thing has been dropped. I used it in the pouring rain. I mean, I have abused this thing. Now, in like the 3 years that I used it with all the use and abuse, starting to have little idiosyncrasies with it. My screen, if I open it up, right, my screen turns on. If it's at this angle, the colors are weird. If it's flat and level, the colors are fine. So these are a great option. I love these. You know, what's the pros of these? Well, there's a great variety to choose from. You can buy a base model for $100. You can buy a top of the line one for a few $1,000s, right? These babies are made for video, which means that's what they specialize in. They're dedicated for that, and you get great video quality. And I'm telling you, I love the video quality I get out of this one. These are so easy to use. They're idiot proof. Ready? This is how you use mine. To turn it on, ba-ding. Now, in the newer one, the shutter automatically opens. But in this one, I open the shutter, and to start filming, I simply press this button right here to start and stop. That's it. Now, as you can see the view screen here, but the beauty of this one is I set it up, I want to check myself, bingo, and you can see it turn like monochrome right there, or grayscale I should say, and now I can see what I'm doing, right? These videos also have the ability to zoom. They have optical and then digital zoom capability, alright, which we'll talk about just about 10 hours from now, alright? So, what's the downside of one of these? Well, with so many of them, it's hard to choose which one that would fit your needs. You know, you got to do a little bit of research on them. They can also take pictures, but the pictures aren't the best. And when I say the best, I mean, it's not really easy. Some of them you got to do a whole bunch of stuff for. Mine's pretty simple. I just have a button here, push it, and I'll take a picture. Alright? Others, you got to go through a few steps to do it. So it is able to do pictures, but that's not what it's made for. And like anything else, the weakness is batteries. Now, I have to say I get a good amount of hours on batteries. I've never actually run out on a 3D shoot with a fully charged battery. Right? And I always make sure I buy some backups. And the problem with the main batteries isn't that bad. It's your backups. Because you can spend some money to get quality, but if you buy the midlines, these midlines last maybe 2 hours, 3 hours max. Alright? So that is the platform of the Handycam or the camcorder. Alright, our third option is the sport camera. Now, the most popular one out there is the GoPro. This is a GoPro Hero 3 Silver that I use. Don't use it much anymore. I used it for a while, and I found its drawbacks, which we're going to demonstrate in the video. Right? So, what's the pros to this? Well, these are durable. These are tough, made for that, and with that, because of this little case, they come in. They're also waterproof. Now, it's like 50 meters or some ridiculous thing like that, like you're ever going to hit that limit. But this, you know, you never have to worry about. Now, the big thing on it is with these, they affect your sound, which is one of the cons, which we'll talk about in a second. The plus side of these is it's easy to use, and there are tons of accessories. You have the selfie stick. You have the hand carry tripod. You have special wrenches for it. You have your head mount. You have the suction cup to put it on your car or any other flat surface. I mean, there are just tons of accessories for these things. GoPro does a great job on that. Alright? Now, the other cool thing they have is on your phone, right here, let's see if I'll bring it up, right there, you have the GoPro app. There it is, the GoPro app. And what this does is I can turn my phone on, off, start recording from my phone. So I don't have to be right next to it or touching it. I can use Wi-Fi to do that. Now, what's some of the cons in these? Well, for me, the cons outweigh the pros. All right. If you ever look at a GoPro, it has a curved, heavily curved lens. Right? It's a wide angle lens. And what that does is take anything in the center and pushes it away. And I'm telling you, your target will look so far away. 10 yards will look like 20 to 30 yards. So you won't be able to see, if you're doing a hunt, you won't be able to see your arrow hitting the animal. Right? Or even in a 3D, you won't be able to see your arrow hitting the target if you got the camera by you. And that's one of the bad things. It also, there's a program in there you can pull that fisheye, it's called, out, the wide angle, and flatten it out, but it changes the aspect ratio of it. So that's the biggest downside of these, and we're going to show you that when we go outside for the practical application part of the video. The other thing is the batteries. GoPro batteries are notorious for not lasting long, right? If you leave this on, you drain the battery. So you got to turn it all the way on, all the way off to conserve it as much as possible. You can buy other batteries, that's what I do, and I carry a couple spares, and that's how I cure my problem with it. The big downside is there is no view screen on the back, so you can't see, you can't set up your camera, your shot, right, for your camera. You can do it with this. So if you turn on your GoPro app, you can set up your camera how you want it. So that is one way to get around it, but you have to have a camera, a phone that works with their app. All right. The biggest thing is you can't zoom. There's no zooming. You can go in post-editing and a program and zoom in, but there is no ability to zoom. So if I wanted to get closer to my subject, the camera physically has to get closer to my subject. And the last thing, another big one, is poor sound. Being waterproof, right, it's going to block a lot of the sound, and it's really muffled. You'll see that in our practical demonstrations. But one thing you can do to avoid that is they give you this back. See the back? It has holes in it. And what that does is allow the sound in. Now the sound's not that much better because even without it, in this case just like this, the sound is not the best. Alright? It's a great camera, it's just not made for filming your hunt or your 3D archery shoot. Sorry people. Alright, our last option is the most ubiquitous thing we carry. Everybody has a cell phone, and these things have come light years, in video technology. So, cell phone, what's the pros? Easy to use, right? Just push the button, it's on. You can do forward, backwards. It's just, they call it intuitive, is what the word they like to use. So they're so easy to use. I mean, they give you good quality. You get 1080 out of these things, which is really nice quality. You do have a basic zoom. It's nothing special. It's what we call a digital zoom. All right? And some of them have an ability to do slow motion, which is pretty cool. If you want to get that one shot and you want to see that arrow, you can set it up ahead of time to film in slow motion. Certain cameras, not all. So, what's the cons? Well, good quality. It's not great quality. It's good quality video. If you got an iPhone, then trying to take this out and do post-processing can be a pain in the you-know-what. Apple doesn't like to share their stuff and things like that. If you don't know, it's an Apple. Right? That's what I can't stand about Apple. It's so hard to share anything with this stupid phone. Right? The other thing is you can't make no adjustments on it. You're pretty much stuck with what the camera wants you to do. And this one, the big one, is the battery. Right? Batteries have gotten better, but it's still a limiting factor. You leave this thing on for 4 to 6 hours out in the woods or in a 3D hunt, and you might be checking something else. You're going to drain your battery down really fast. A couple things they do have, which is pretty cool, is this. Now, what is this? This is a mount that you put your camera in, and then you can attach it to a tripod or a selfie stick, and you use it to film. So you don't have to hold it by hand. You can put it on that and leave it sitting where you need to use it. So that's something you might want to look into if you plan on using your cell phone. Alright, next thing we're going to cover is media. And I don't mean newspapers and print. All of these use a different type of media. Now, most use an SD card, right? Bing. If you're going to do it, get the highest number of gigs as you can. This one is 8 gigabytes. It's not a whole lot. This and my others use micro SDs, which is the way to go because it's just much easier to carry. Don't worry about it. Micro SD, 64 gigabytes. All right, that's more than enough. That'll handle your whole day, plenty of hours of filming. So make sure you got the proper media. Make sure it's the right type because that can affect how your camera will work. So pay attention to your media, as big a gig as you can get, and always bring it back up. Alright, the next thing we're going to talk about is tripods. I cannot recommend more buying a tripod. It makes it so much easier, although it is a hassle to carry out in the woods. Alright, we're going to show you different ways how you can do it. So you can't hold your camera all the time, it just doesn't work. So tripods. You have your classical tripod, like this one. Then you have these new ones, these action ones. This is a Joby Gorilla Pod. You have the big version, small version. Now, the big thing you got to know about the action pods is they go by weight, how heavy your camera is, what they can support. But there's a couple things you need to know about a tripod. One is how tall does it get? All right, 5 feet or 60 inches is the minimum that I would suggest. When we take it out to the practical application, you're going to see the difference between this all the way extended and this one. It gives a totally different angle for your shot. Now the next thing you got to really pay attention to is what I call the head, this part, right, that your camera mounts to. Now, the one you want is like this. It's called the ball. If I loosen this knob here, it's a ball, and the head can move at all different possible angles, right? Simple. One thing to do it all. To move this camera up and down, I must adjust the lever in the back, loosen it up. To move it left and right, I got to unloosen this knob. And to move that at an angle, I got to loosen this knob, like that. So, to do this, I got to make at least 3 adjustments. And on this one, I only make 1. So you can see the advantage right there, right? Old-time photographers would probably want to use this one because that's what they've always done, and they can tell you it's more secure and yada, yada, yada. Right? That's what I like. Now, this one I bought for $20 on Amazon. It's a cheapie, and you know what? It works perfectly fine. So when you get a tripod, the other thing you got to know is how to take them, put it on your put your camera on it. The platform comes off. Most of them have a little screw on them. You attach it and screw it right in place. Like that on my Gorilla Pod. And bingo. And you can see that's how you do it. You just do like that. You hold the camera, set it to how you want, lock it in place, and you're good to go. Alright? Now, a couple other things you do. Selfie stick. Right? You can also use it to hit your child when he's not listening. Alright? The selfie stick. Now, before I go on to the next one, we're going to talk about using your GoPro. Right? If you use the GoPro, you got to have this funky little attachment here and this screw right here to attach it to anything. So I was going to put it on this. I'd have to attach this to this, my phone to this, and this to this. You can see, once again, why the GoPro can be a little bit of a downer. All right? So, what if you don't want to use that? Or what if it's so close to a tree or something you can't use it? But one trick that I learned was a strap from Home Depot. I take my Gorilla Pod, put it in the tree and wrap this around it, tighten it up. And it works pretty darn good. So if you're up in a tree stand, using a tripod might be a little impractical. There may not be a branch to attach your Gorilla Pod to. So you simply use a strap and you can attach that to the tree. Alright. So, there you have it. That's your basics of your materials that you need to know about. What type of camera are you going to use? What's the advantage of it? What's the disadvantages of it? What does it do well? What doesn't it do so well, right? Your tripods, height, adjustability, and batteries. Now, one thing about batteries. If you're out hunting or somewhere else, you buy these batteries, and if you go to this company called Wasabi, you can get these chargers. Plug it into the wall, right? To charge this battery, I have a USB adapter that goes into my wall, right? But if I have extra batteries, it takes a lot of time. So I bought this, I plug in the wall. But what if you're on the road? Well, they got the car charger option. Yeah, say that one, Gregory. All you do is simply, just plug it in, bing, stick it into your power receptacle, and you're good to go. So that's something else to think about buying. And as you can see, filming your shoots can easily get quite expensive. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to go outside to the outdoor course, and I'm going to set up my different cameras. I'm going to show you different things about angles, how to set your shot up, and then we'll wrap it up and put it all together. All right, everybody, now we're out here in the woods at Yogi Bowman in Hyde Park, New York. Great club. Talking about how to set up your shot. Now, first thing you need to know, it just drives me crazy when I see people do this, especially when stills, is framing the shot. All right? First thing I know is, what is it that you're taking a picture of? All right? Now, I'm going to show you what most people do and why it's the worst thing possible. This is the worst thing possible. You got a picture of a great shot. Let's say your arrow's sitting right here and the person's standing next to it. Why do I need to see their feet? Why do I need to see all this, all that there, all that there? The subject is my good shot. And what you want to do is never, unless you're trying to show the terrain and all that, is use the whole body. I'm telling you, it just drives me crazy. I hand people my camera and I see them backing up and backing up. I don't care what my feet look like. Now this is how it's supposed to be framed. Now the other thing I'm going to tell you is this is what we call centered. You never want to be centered. Why? Because there's junk off to the side and everybody's going to look at the other junk. You always want you off to a corner and whatever you want, like this, the target in the middle. All right? None of this. It's really stupid stuff, but it's really important. Look at the other one, which we'll put on split screen here. Look at that compared to this. Now you can see where I hit, how awesome of a shot it was, and we can get even closer if we want. All right? So, no full bodies, never stand in the center, always off to the side. That goes for still pictures too. Good photos never has the subject in the middle. You always got the background off to the side, never centered. So keep that in mind when you're setting up your shots. All right, for this next one, we're going to show you a comparison. Handycam versus GoPro. All right, it's pretty simple. You can see I got them side by side. I'm going to take the exact same shot, right? And you're going to see the difference. I'll put them side by side so you can see what I was talking about how the wide angle makes things look a lot farther than what they are. All right, I have downrange, about 20 yards is a large target. It's the mountain goat, right? Now, you can see, we'll put side by side. I'm going to show you right about now. Look at the difference. See how far away that mountain goat looks, right? Compared to this one, and this one's not as zoomed. I can actually zoom in, which we'll show you in a second. All right, I should have checked this first. I just built a bow and just not too comfortable with it yet. All right, so no, you probably didn't see much in that one, but in the regular camera, now you know the difference between a GoPro and a Handycam. All right, we're talking about tripods outside, right? And I said you want one at least 5 feet tall. So this isn't 5 feet, it's a lot less because I'm 5'9", and that is definitely not 9 inches, so this is probably 4 feet. And the problem with it is, if you have a shorter one, is in order for it to get your head in, you're either going to have to tilt the camera up, which means you're going to see the trees, or you're going to have to move back. Now the camera I'm using is tripod I'm using is about 6 to 7 inches taller. This bow is 60 inches. That's me 60 inches away, right? I can come closer to here, but now as you can see, the closer I am, look where my head is, right up here. That's another thing you got to keep in mind and think about when you buy tripods is the height. Now, in order for it to show me shooting, right? If I'm right here, you're not going to get the whole body. You're going to get me here. All right? So there's another thing you got to think about when considering your tripods. All right. See how far away I am now? I'm this far away because below that camera, or this camera, I have the Gorilla Pod. And you can see what a difference, we'll put them side by side again, what a difference the camera angle makes. And hopefully I'm in that, because it's in the sun, all right? So as I come in, and I'll kneel down, watch this, ready? Leaving this screen, coming into this one, I'm still not in it. Now I'm in it. That shows you the difference of perspective from high to low. All right, next we're going to talk about this, right? So you've seen how bad it was low, but how can we get up high? By using this. So one thing you got to remember is to put this on the proper spot. So when you get it set up, it's pretty simple. Connect it, tighten it, then using your head, adjust it, open it up, get it level, make sure it's all tight, good to go. There we go. And that's it. Now I got it up higher. So if you want to get that higher up shot, you can do that just by using a simple strap brought to you courtesy of the Home Depot. Alright, I promised I'd cover it for you and I didn't really do it, so I'm going to cover it out here. Optical versus digital zooming. There it is. Now watch. This is optical zooming. That's optical. Okay. Digital zooming is just using the software and the memory to expand it. And when you expand it, what happens? You lose pixel rate. With an optical, you don't. Alright? Now, see if I can show you on this one. This one, I believe, does a little bit of both, if I remember my stuff correctly. It does neither. There it is. Now let's go to telephoto. Ready? See how the lens pulls away? So it does have an optical, and then it goes to digital. Alright, I believe this is like a, yeah, there it is, a 60 times zoom. That's not all optical, that's digital. So, optical and digital. Optical zooming is better than digital zooming. Alright, so here we are. We're going to cover the basics. Remember the framing, always off the side. You can do it three ways. You can do this side here, where they're going to see the release hand. You can do it here, which is the zoom we'll cover in a second. And you can do it here, which shows a lot of back tension. You know, it's personal preference. Now, if you're shooting with a group of people and you're all righties, it's simple, but me being the lefty, I'm always throwing it off. So, turn check. Check, looks good. This is from the side here, right? Pretty simple. Now, do it from this side. Alright, there's the front and back, and now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you zoom in. Alright, here we are. Now I'm going to show you zooming in. I have to be back here to show it, because this is a cool one, especially if you want to use slow motion. That target's the same spot. I have not moved the camera from the earlier shots. First thing I do is you got to figure out where you're going to stand. Alright, that should be a good enough. Alright, so now you can actually see a little bit more. Now, if the target was dark, it would have came out better. And when you do that, that's when you got a dark background and everything, you can do it. You know what? I'm going to shoot one into the black covering. and shoot one in the bale house. Alright, that should be good. Of course, I hit the slot, so let's try it again. The one spot where there's a tear is where I hit. Alright, hopefully you've seen that better. So that, my friends, is the beauty of the zoom. Alright, another angle you can do is what we call the downrange. Here's the target. I'm going to stand down there and shoot it. Now, this one does have some inherent risk. I never lost one yet. Knock on a fake foam animal, but it's going to happen one day. Just be careful. Don't pay attention to the camera. That's the big thing. You know, that's what really helps me get better, is to have stuff out in the middle of my target in the way. I got to learn to block that stuff out. So I'm going to move down range, and I'm going to take my shot. Another reason why you can be off over here is so I can put that in the picture. I can't take credit for this. I didn't think of it. One of my viewers brought it up. A couple people did. Some doing it because they wanted to see where I hit. Some were questioning how well I shot. So I took my GorillaPod with the same other camera and I put it downrange to film the target. And this is what it looks like. Alright, pretty simple. You see where it hit? You got to see the whole thing. It's a nice little addition to filming your 3D or target archery shoots. Yes, the sun is blocking me out. I know that. One of the beauties is you start getting fancy when you got multiple cameras. I got downrange my GoPro. GoPros have one thing. They have a faster feet per second than your regular camera. Most cameras film at about 24 feet per second to 26 feet per second. My Handycam goes up to 59 to 60. My GoPro's 120. The faster the feet per second, the smoother the video, especially if you try to slow it down. Alright? Gotta remember, arrows traveling 160 feet per second. It's a lot faster than what that camera can catch, so it's jerky. The GoPro at 120 catches more of the arrow movement and it can slow it down and make it look good. So what I did is I put my GoPro off at an angle, which you'll see when I show you the second half. So here's the front half. Now I'm going to show you, I'll take the shot and then I'll show you the second half from the GoPro's perspective. Nice shot. Alright, now let's see how the GoPro did it, and then if it came out okay, I'm going to try to slow it down in post-production. Alright, boys and girls, we're going to start wrapping it up here. Remember, what is the key filming your hunt, 3D shoot, whatever it is you're trying to film, and my brand new bow I built just fell over, is know what you want to see in the picture, right? Would a close-up be good? Long distance, what do you want in, where do you want you, yada yada yada. Know that first, and you'll develop that over time. You'll get, you know, the photographer's eye. So here I have a target. I actually have two of them. I have a raccoon in the front and a fox on the side trying to get around in the chicken coop to get to the chickens. All right? I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to do it just with this so you can see what it's like. And then I'm going to do one maybe with a downrange. I don't know. It depends. My battery is running low. All right. So, grab my bow. I just built this. It's not bad. I think it's pretty good looking. All right. It's 40 pounds at 60 inches. You can see it there. You can see it there. I wanted this a lot more narrower, but I don't have the tools to do it right. So you know what? Instead of just sitting there and screwing it up, I stopped. So I'm here. I'm off to the side. I can see myself right there. Sorry, I am right there in the camera. All right, check my string. I didn't sand my knockdown enough, so I just got to be careful and watch my string. All right, let's see how this shot goes. All right, not bad. Not the best shot I ever made, not the worst. Now you can't see the fox. He's peeking around the chicken coop on the side, so I'll stand over here and let's see if I can get him. Went over him, but had a spider crawling up, and I went to the spider, but that's all right. All right, now you've seen it like that. Now we're going to try to do the zoom in and show you what that one looks like. The zoom. You can see, if I can bring that back, right there is my raccoon. Now let's see how I shoot this time. Alright, see how you can see the arrow travel a little better? That's the other way you can do it. Alright, the final one, we're going to put the camera on the downrange, or on the target itself, and we'll show you the wide and the close. Alright, boys and girls, on the last one, I'm going to put it all together. On the raccoon, I have my camera on the Joby Gorilla Pod, and on the fox, I got my GoPro. Ooh, a little off. Now the fox. And there you go. Seen them outside, now you know what they look like. Alright, let's get my arrows. I'm going to wrap this all up. Alright everybody, this last lesson I'm going to show you is that big glowy thing. You know, you can't control it in 3D shoot, but you always usually want it to the front of you, not to the back of you. Because when my face comes over here, oh! Alright. Filming your own shoot, I'm telling you, it can be so much fun, it can be so rewarding. And I had this, when I made 3D archery, I wanted to show all the courses everywhere. Not going to work, right? But it will. As you've seen last week, I had the guy from overseas film a course, and I put his on there. So if you film one, it looks decent, or you like it, and you're willing to post it, let me know. I'll post it for you. Because I want to get the word out so everybody can see courses everywhere. You know, 3D archery is not about me. Now, a couple things about me. Right, it's not about me, we're going to talk about me. A lot of people probably wonder, Greg, why do you carry that big old pack? Now you know, right? I carry more crap to a 3D archery shoot than most people. And some videos you can see where I don't carry much because I'm just tired of carrying so much and I just want to carry as little as possible. So, if you're going to film, prepare to carry a lot of junk with you. You can be hanging it, carrying it, and getting away. You know, people wonder why it takes me and Jess so long to film. Well, one, I set up the camera where we're going to shoot from. Then I got to run down to the target, set up that camera, turn it on, run back to this camera, turn it on, take my shots, watch everybody film, make any adjustments while they're shooting, shut it down, go get it, and then move on. So that's why it can take a lot of time. But I'm telling you, it can be really worth it. Filming your shoot or hunt can give you that lifetime memory that you always wanted. Alright, boys and girls, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next time with an all-new episode of 3D Archery.